Happy Friday, everyone. It's good to be back. We were off last week, but we're back this week, and I'm pretty excited about that because we're starting a new series on the Ten Commandments. I think I'm going to call it Live Free. We're going to figure out how to practically live these things in a 21st century world, so let's get to it. It's time for Gracepoints. We're starting this series on the Ten Commandments. And it's really interesting to me. The Ten Commandments, I think most of us have been exposed to them. We've probably memorized them. We've seen them most of our lives. I mean, it's probably the most popular chapter in all of the Old Testament. And you see it as a monument in courthouses. You see it posted on the walls of churches, displayed in the lobby of worship, places of worship. I have seen, literally, now, seriously, I've seen them displayed on the wall of a McDonald's in Gaffney, South Carolina. A McDonald's next to the soda machine. And what's crazy, it was really beautiful. I mean, it was a nice McDonald's, but it was a really beautiful display in the McDonald's. And if the Ten Commandments are so important, so popular, then the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we relate to them? How do we live out commandments that are literally thousands of years old, so far removed from our world and our culture? How do we live them out in a 21st century world? I figure there's no better place to start than number one. So let's look at it. The Bible says in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1, 2, and 3, "And God spoke all these words, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." That seems pretty straightforward. And it's really important. I think this first one is a really important one. God says, "You shall have no other gods before me." But he lays a foundation for that commandment with grace. I mean, it is Gracepoint, so you know we're going to talk about grace. And most of us, I think, assume that the commandments are built on a foundation of law and order and structure. And in a sense they are, but no, that at the heart of them, at the very foundation, the core of the commandments is the love of God, the grace of God. Because he introduces himself in those first two verses by saying, "I am Yahweh, I am your God, the one who delivered you out of Egypt." He builds it on an act of delivering grace. This loving, powerful act of grace is what sets up the Ten Commandments. In fact, there's a relationship between the commandments and grace, because it's grace that is the preamble to the commandments that God gives. He says, "Have no other gods before me. I'm the one who delivered you, who loved you, who brought you out. Have no other gods before me." And it's really important that he says this because the children of Israel are coming out of hundreds of years of being exposed to polytheism and all sorts of religious systems. And they come out and God says, "Have no other gods before me." This is a transforming command, because it's going to set them apart from all of the rest of the world. Everybody else on the globe is worshiping everything, and the children of Israel are choosing to worship only one God. And on top of that, they're not worshiping him to pay him back. They're not doing this as payment. They're doing it because he's worthy. They're doing it because of what he's done for them, because of the love that he's expressed for them in this delivering act of grace. And understand, I want you to get this is really important, that the commandments don't make you his, they make you holy. I want you to understand that. He's not giving them the commandments in order to make them his children. What made them his children was his act of bringing them out. What makes you the child of God is not how perfect you are. What makes you God's child is the act that he that he performed for you when he delivered you from sin, the same way he delivered the children of Israel from Egyptian bondage. The commandments don't make us his, they make us holy. We're not paying him back. We're doing it because he's worthy. And of all of the things that they've been exposed to, all of the other gods they've been exposed to, they choose to worship the one and only true God. Of all the things that you've been exposed to in this world, all of the social media or family or politics or culture that you've been exposed to, is there anything, I want you to get this in your head, is there anything that competes with God in your life? Anything that competes for his position in your life? It's really important that we figure this out because God still wants the same thing for us. This is a declaration of intimacy and a relationship. He says, I am your great liberator, the one who set you free, either from Egyptian bondage or set you free from sin, from addiction, from a dysfunctional relationship, from abuse. Don't let anything else compete. Don't let anything come between us. Have nothing that steps between me and you. We have to ask ourselves that question because God still wants that of us. And what sets us apart is in a world that's bombarded with worshiping people and positions and money and likes, we've chosen to worship one, the one and only true God, the God of grace. So anyway, it's good to see you this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have an awesome day. God bless you. This is Grace Points.